we've seen the cons. We've seen it firsthand. We've been hit hard. We've had good, we've had bad. We're in favour of semesterisation for the most part. Most students in my year, most people in my class are in favour of having exams at Christmas and exams in summer. The important thing is that they're handled properly. The modules are picked properly and it works properly. In a lot of cases, it's great. You know what? People are doing great. They're getting their exams on time. The timetables are coming well out in advance. They're picking their modules. Not a problem with the registration. But in a lot of cases, that isn't the case. And we need an education officer that talks to departments that are really consistently, and it's the same departments, Kate, that are consistently making a mull of it. And we need an education officer to put pressure on them. We need to do communication with the president and the deputy president, and we need more campaigns.
Okay. Can I just come in, actually? I just wanted to say, it actually has been hugely across the board. It's not necessarily just the specific schools or isolated incidents. Final year subjects across the board have had their results delayed this year.
I accept that totally.
It's hugely across the board. They've really dropped the ball on it, I think, and it's totally unacceptable.
Can I clarify the situation with final year results? They haven't been delayed. They were erroneously told they would be out in January, but it had. And I was on the programme board that said that March the 6th was the date, so they're not late. They're just late.
The college did promise a uniform date where all results would be published, and they failed to do it.
It is a horrific breakdown.
I don't see what the problem was. I mean, it's just a matter of actually putting the results, which are just numbers, into the system. I just cannot understand, nor can anyone give me an answer.
In many cases,
tell me why they can't just do that.
In many cases, what we found is actually the results haven't been corrected yet. I've pressurised 2 lecturers on 3 courses, and the results will not be out until the 6th of March because they haven't corrected.
Can I ask you, any of you, do you have any sympathies for the fact that lecturers have also had to deal with a lot of change? They're going for the system where, in many cases, they never corrected Christmas exams to a system now where they correct 3 lots of Christmas exams.
That's not necessarily true. I mean, there has been a process of changing. Everyone knew it was coming. And at the same time, it's not always just the lecturers haven't actually corrected. I know that my results for law and commerce have both been corrected long ago, long before the results were given to me. They were available. It was a breakdown in admin that meant that I didn't get my results. That's the reason.
It's the inconsistency, Kev, that's an absolute killer. If some departments and schools can do it, why can't others? Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. Like, I'm sorry, but lecturers, it's not like a big, incredible shockwave that we've got to correct exams at Christmas. Just correct it. Get on with it. Move on. I don't see the problem.
Yeah, it's not really an issue that they correct exams. If anything, it actually makes the research an awful lot better because they've got more of a summer. Now that August repeats are gone as well, they've got 3 months of a summer to correct exams. 3 months of a summer to research before they go back to actually studying. And back with students again in September.
Okay, so
just one final point as well. One thing that should make it easier is, instead of correcting a subject that's been running for the whole year and might actually be quite long, it's probably only half the subject, so there should technically really be half the material to correct. So they should be giving us our results twice as fast, and yet it just seems to be getting slower and slower.
Okay, well, I can see it's very clear to me, and I'm sure all our listeners, that you see a lot of problems with UCD, but I want to hear from each of you one practical, achievable thing that you will do if elected education officer, and we'll start with John.
The first thing I've promised to my students actually in September that I would do it, the students within economics that I would do it, would be to end all forms of continuous assessment and midterm assessment at week 10 within 12-week semester, that they've got week 11, week 12 and week 13, which is the study week if you want to call it, to actually properly prepare for exams. And I hammered the School of Economics to do it. And they were reluctant at the start, but after a few weeks actually, it took them a few weeks to realise, and be sitting down with them quite a bit, and they actually decided fully to now do it. And they're doing it this semester, and it's actually working fantastically. Now, although it does mean there are more midterm exams quite closer in the middle of the semester, and continuous assessment will end at week 10, so there's quite a bit more bunching to it, it does mean that, first of all midterm results can be achieved and corrected by the end of term, that we've got them at week 12. And you can spend 3 weeks studying for exams, and lecturers can have midterms corrected, and it's to streamline an awful lot of the junk, if you want to call it that goes on towards the end of the semester.
Okay, and Paul, as education officer, what is the number one thing you think you could practically achieve?
Well, first of all, may I say to John that actually is a great idea, and it's also in my manifesto, and if elected, I will also take that on board, and it is a good idea, and we should encourage not ruling out ideas just because they're not ideas. So that was something that, if elected, I will take on board as well. But I think we also got to look at two absolutely huge issues that affect students. Well, we've touched on exams, but we haven't touched on, what I'm really surprised to tell you the truth, we haven't really touched on, is the issue with grants. It is a major, major issue to a lot of students. Some students, I met a student there a few days ago who got their grant 3 weeks ago. That is not good enough. A year ago, the then education officer said that wasn't good enough, held a protest outside Dunleary Rathdown. The grants were couriered the very next day. I want you to know this, Kate. If I'm elected, I'm going to be an education officer of action. I'm going to stop the talking. We're going to have to take action, and we're going to get grants on time. Some people depend on grants. It is not good enough that they're coming late. It is wrong what the county councillors are doing. It is wrong what these managers of the councils are doing. We've got to do something about it. And as an education officer, I'm going to do something about it.
Okay. And Ronan, what number one thing you will do as education officer?
Well, as Paul and John said, there are huge issues in those two areas. Just with regard to what Paul was saying, I think there's a much wider issue of access to education for everybody, equal access. It involves things like, as Paul was saying, the issue with grants. The grant centralisation bill is going through. If I'm elected as education officer, I will make sure that goes through. I've already scheduled a meeting with, a short Q&A with the Minister for Education, Mary Hanafin, to discuss the issue and to make sure that the government are 100% behind this. Centralisation of grants is only one part of it, though. We need to make sure that UCD is a 100% wheelchair accessible place. And we also need to make sure that people with sight difficulties and dyslexia have the adequate notes and note system. Notes on Blackboard need to go up 3 days early to give people with these issues the proper time to research and to read over their notes so that they know what's happening. But the main practical thing around college, which is really what you were asking, I think that I would work on is semesterization and modularization. They've made it's meant so much huge change around college with things like the library being put under huge amounts of pressure. In my manifesto, I've promised to deliver faculty-based study areas in free classrooms, which are sitting empty at the moment. Heated areas with security provided where people could study. Change the library, change the mindset that we approach the library with, away from a situation where we see it as an area to study in and move towards seeing it as a resource where people can take out books, research, not necessarily just a place where we go to study. Also, I'd like to see an IT system that's streamed to deal with semesterization and modularization. The current one we have isn't adequate. It's meant for the old system that I came in under, and it worked fine under that. But UCD, for a start, in the admin building, need a new set of computers. They need new software to deal with the issues of registration and exam deadlines. But the reason registration failed so spectacularly this year was because their system crashed. It's just not up to scratch and needs to be changed.
It's actually a new system as well.
Yeah.
This is a new system, yeah.
Okay.
Can I just go on the point of grants and centralisation?
No.
Did then education...
No. Sorry. I want to say to you, you all seem to have great ideas. You all seem really dedicated. But you all seem kind of the same. Can you tell me briefly, very briefly, one by one, what makes you different to your competitors? Let's start with Paul.
Well, Kate, to be perfectly honest, since September, I'm a second year, and since first year, I've been involved in these issues. This isn't something that I've been frustrated enough to get involved in third year, which I respect is a good reason to get involved. But since first year, I gave a damn then, and I worked hard then. We lobbied the